I'm Terry Wogan. Somebody has to be. And this is Fighting Talk. Yes, good morning and welcome to the show. Our panel of experts engage in verbal fisticuffs as they discuss all the burning sporting issues of the week. As I look about me, it's a fairly hopeless task. And joining me in the programme this week, first up, a Fighting Talk regular, a defending champion from The Guardian and Radio 5 Live. I knew him when he was nothing. John Rawling.
Knew me before I went grey.
That's right. The last time we shared a microphone was in Barcelona in '92.
And there we were singing the French national anthem, and we never worked together again.
That's right. I've never worked in sports since. A boon it was to sports broadcasters everywhere. And alongside Rawling today, the losing finalist Saturday. And he's still a little bit piqued about it. A writer, presenter, former internet billionaire, Spurs fan.
Thank you so much, Dave, for that list of achievements. And welcome back to sport, incidentally.
Yeah, he won't last. That's Danny Kelly, of
Thank
course.
you.
Now, you always seem to make the final, but you never win. Is it because you're too decent?
I am a too decent a man to defend some of the awful things they ask you to defend on this show, but, you know, I try my best, see how it goes.
You're a grand fellow, and a man who's become an FT regular. And we're not talking about the Financial Times here. The finalist last time he was on Fighting Talk. He's looking pale but determined. Comic and writer. Hang on, I've worked with him. From TV classics In Bed With Me Dinner and Win, Lose or Draw. Leighton Orient's other celebrity fan, along with Julian Lloyd-Webber. That's Bob Mills. Hiya, Bob.
Hello, sir. We never see Julian Lloyd-Webber. We look at... There's no room for the cello, you see, in the West End. He can't get it in there. And can I just say, and I think I speak on behalf of him, after Johnny Vaughan and Christian and their off-the-shoulder T-shirts, how lovely it is to have the show presented by a man in a shirt and tie.
Thank you.
Someone who's made an effort.
I thought that, decency should prevail here when I look around at the scruffs that I have to work with. And finally, a man making his second Financial Times appearance, beaten by Graham Taylor last time he was on. Yeah. God, that's a foul and contemptible calumny, isn't it? Keyboard legend, fresh, probably, from working with Twice Nightly Whiteley, former Brentford director, a fairly unique CV. Rick Wakeman.
Yeah, it is really. I'm the Cambridge United of Fighting Talk. I came last on my one and only appearance, and I didn't think I'd ever get invited back again. But as you say, you're back in sport after how many years?
Too long to even count. But they tell me that you were counting your houses as you came down on the train.
Yeah, I just one of my hobbies apart from soccer is in the marital status, and it was lovely. I came down on the train today, and it was wonderful, and I just kept shouting out and waking all the commuters. I go, look, that was one of my houses. That was one of mine, and I counted 7. I think I missed 2 out somewhere along the line.
Well, players get points for good punditry, and you'll be hearing this. And if they resort to ill-sounding waffle, you'll be hearing this. And, of course, it's not easy, this, and I'm first time in, and I'm finding it quite difficult. The players with the highest points go to our head-to-head to see who'll be the winner of Fighting Talk. Here's Marquis of Queensberry rules. Now, the first topic is all about this.
Dyer and Lee Bowyer are fighting with one another. When I say fighting, I mean fighting. Fighting, throwing punches at one another. Fighting, throwing fists at one another. All of a sudden, the two went toe-to-toe and started throwing punches at one another.
I can't see anything wrong with that at all. So we demand that people like footballers, like Lee Bowyer and Kieran Dyer, set a good example to children. I don't know why we do. Have Newcastle and the football authorities set a good example with their punishments? We'll start with you, Rick.
Well, I think they should be made to play the next 6 games carrying handbags, fully equipped with lipstick and all various things. And after that, they should be made to attend the royal wedding as page boys and carry the tray, especially for Camilla. Then they need to appear on Question Time with Delia Smith and sing along with her with the Let's Be Having You song.
Hard to know how many points to give to that, and I'm not even beginning to count.
Oh, OK, then.
OK, we'll turn to you. Turn to you next, Bob. Bob Mills.
I think it's a strange thing. Obviously, we do expect different codes of behaviour from footballers. I love the thing of it's a fight. They're having a real fight. They're punching each other. Because, of course, if anyone's ever seen men fight normally, there are very few punches. It's mainly hiding behind their mates and saying, yeah, no, let me go, I'll have him. I think, though, they should be punished. I think Dyer and Bowie should be punished, and I think the punishment should be the one that all Newcastle players must fear. I think they should be dragged into the office and said, well, I'm sorry, we're bringing Bobby Robson back as manager. So you now have to spend all week at training with a man you can't understand who smells vaguely of urine.
It's just that Graham Souness doesn't smell of urine.
I am.
You're taking this now.
We turn to you, John. Rawling.
I actually thought it was rather funny. That was, I know you sometimes take the higher moral ground on these things, but I thought it was fairly funny. But I think that they were right to be punished. But I think they should be punished a bit more. I think they should actually have a proper fight. Get them in the boxing ring. Get them in a boxing ring. Get them squared up to each other. Let's see who is the harder man, and maybe do it for charity or something. I reckon that my money would be on Dyer. I think Kieran Dyer looks as though he stood his ground against that lovable little scamp Bowyer. He wasn't going to have it, was he?
He looks, in the immortal words of Des Lynam, a bit tasty.
John, I know you're the Boozy's boxing expert. I can't imagine you being more wrong. Bowyer would eat him alive.
No.
Look at the look on his face when they were dragging him away. He's mad for the fighting.
He stood in his face. Dyer would not back down. He could have walked away and he didn't.
Well, you're the expert, John. I'm not. I put money on Bowyer in a fight with him. I would.
This is why you lose these contests, you know.
Oh, yeah?
Thank you, Danny. All right, let's have a look at the points so far. Who awards?
John, I'm not getting a go then. That's how hard you're going to be, how strict you're going to be, is it?
Well, I think if you keep sticking your nose in when Rawlings is trying to speak, go on then, give us your money's worth.
Only insofar as the same as everybody else. Everyone felt beautiful about it because it was a great thing to see two blokes bashing each other up, and then you could occupy the moral high ground yourself. It's a very unusual situation for any of us. I actually do think that because of the particular individuals involved, they should be really properly punished, and I think the two of them should be sent to work in an ordinary factory or office for 3 months. A place where you've got to turn up on time. If you're no good, you get the sack. You've got to get on with the people you work with, whether you like the look of them, the colour of them, the race of them, the creed of them, whatever. And where better people than Dyer and the detestable Bowyer are expected to work and behave for considerably less than 30 grand a week. Send them to work. Make them work for a living.
Let me ask you this.
You mean come to the BBC?
No,
Considerably less
nobody
than 30
works
grand.
here.
Oh, OK.
Sorry. Have you ever worked in a factory?
I certainly have. For many, many, many years, I had a proper job, Terry. I had the worst job in Britain. Now, normally that is the job that is described to those people who have to syringe the wax out of the McVitie's family's ears to make Jaffa cakes. But I worked on the complaints counter at London Victoria, sir. So, yes, I had a proper job, yeah.
You have been forged in the fire, haven't you?
I've been tempered, sir.
Good man, Danny. OK, now we have here... Why not a little applause? Although I can't see how anybody deserves it. Have we got any applause? I always think laughter works better. Now, so, Danny, you impressed the starter there.
He's good, this lad, trust me.
Yeah, 4 points you got for that. John Rawling, 6. Rick Wakeman, 8. Embracing Bobby Mills, 10.
There we go.
And that's it. Well done. So those are the scores. I had no idea that this was so tedious. Sorry, exciting. Now, Jose Mourinho. Why do they keep calling him Mourinho? He's not Mourinho. He's a Portuguese. He's not Spanish. His name is Mourinho. OK?
OK.
Speaking to the press in Portugal, said this week, I'm like a boy who used to play the tambourine, but now prefers the violin, floating on an iceberg surrounded by sharks. Eric Cantona lives. Just to show that it's not just those flowery continentals who can apply such colourful imagery, describe another sportsman for me in similarly poetic terms. Danny Kelly.
OK, I have a strict rule about this sort of thing. Poetry, leave it to Shakespeare. So here we go. I've stolen all of this. Alex Ferguson, straight from the words of King Lear. This is Shakespeare on Alex Ferguson. The foul fiend has led us through fire and through flame, through ford and whirlpool, over bog and quagmire. He hath laid knives under his pillow and set rat poison by his porridge, made himself proud of heart and cursed his own shadow for a traitor.
Ladies and gentlemen, the BBC. Come on. That's what your licence fee pays for. Danny Kelly doing
Read Shakespeare about Alex Ferguson. You didn't like that, Terry, fair enough.
Sorry.
How long were you at Victoria doing the complaints?
About 3 years.
Were you?
Yeah.
Did you do that?
You had a lot of spare time during the nights to read Shakespeare and stuff, yeah, absolutely.
It's very hard to know how to go on after that.
or indeed why to go on.
It's at times like this that time seems to stand still, doesn't it?
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Did you?
I enjoyed it, absolutely, yeah.
Good man yourself. Well, John.
A roguish, scarlet-faced curmudgeon, the Grand
Blimey.
National's politically incorrect eminence grise, now about to have his comeuppance trashed by a broodmare. That's going to be that's Ginger McCain, and he's going to lose this afternoon. Amberley House is going to get done, and it'll be Forrest Gunner, ridden by Carrie Ford.
I think this is a rather unfortunate topic to pick because it brings out the worst in the more journalistic. So we'll turn to you, Bob.
I'd forgotten all about the Grand National this afternoon, but you reckon... So Ginger's got another horse. Ginger...
Do try and keep up, would
One
you?
last year, didn't you notice?
One that I see... anyone who's ever listened to me on the show knows the two things I don't count as sport are rugby union and horse racing. As simple as that. And golf, which is obviously a pastime rather than a sport. But going back to what we were talking about, I think that I've heard the original of Jose Mourinho, and well done to her. It's not Mourinho. He's not Iberian. It's Mourinho.
He is Iberian.
Well, he's not Spanish.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
He starts to nitpick, to be fair, Terry.
But I've heard the original of it, and the original was actually from the Newcastle United midfielder Lee Bowyer. And it was, I'm like a boy who used to play the tambourine and now plays the violin, sitting on an iceberg surrounded by sharks. One of them sharks is looking at me. You want some? You want some, fishy? And if he don't stop looking at me, I'm going to be down there and chin him. So I think that's the original of it.
Bravely done, Bob. Poignant, even.
Well, I'm from South London, so is Morino. And I've gone musical because
You're
there
Portuguese
are one
from
or
South
two,
London.
Portuguese from South London. Alex Ferguson, who grew up with the bagpipes but now blows his own trumpet. You got that one? David O'Leary, who'd like to play the electric guitar but can only play the acoustic because he could never find his leads. Never find his... See, get that, Bob. Never
Didn't
find
get
his,
that. Anybody get that?
Never find...
It's like Charlie Chester never went away.
And Stuart Pearce, who used to play second fiddle but now plays first violin.
Splendidly done.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm sure there is... I am absolutely certain there is a little knob here that says applause.
Well, it's
But
not,
I can't be
it's
bothered.
not mine.
And the points have moved forward here apace. Danny Kelly still lagging behind in an engaging manner with 7. John Rawling, 9. John, you're not doing as well as they said you would.
I'm trying.
Yeah, but you probably haven't fixed it this time. Rick Wakeman, 11, Rick.
Good. Well, that's more than I got the last time.
Yeah, they're ill-deserved. Bob Mills, I can't imagine. How come you've got 13? Well, that's the score. OK. It's listeners' homework this week as well. You've got to text or email your flowery descriptions of sports people, and the best go into the hat to win a place on the Fighting Talk panel. God, you wouldn't want to be here, would you? And a rare collectible Fighting Talk mug, rarer than hen's teeth. Text me
85058.
or email me.
fighting@bbc.co.uk.
So it's Fighting Talk on 5 Live. Time for a quickie. Do you know that's why I turned up? Peter Ridsdale, the man who left Leeds £100 million in debt. This is fantastic. Was employed as financial advisor to Cardiff City last week. So what other sporting appointments have raised an eyebrow or two? I think I'll go to you, Rick, because it'll give you a chance to
Catch
reinstate.
The appointment that always amazed me was Sven-Göran Eriksson as England manager. I mean, if his own country wouldn't appoint him, why the hell did we? He's probably an extremely nice guy, but I firmly believe that every country should have a manager that comes from that country. And the other sort of appointment which I found strange was Alan Perrin, this guy who's just gone to Portsmouth, who will undoubtedly be called Reginald by most of the Portsmouth sports after a little bit, who it amazed me. He said that it won't be a problem for him to keep Portsmouth up. It's going to be a very, very easy task. He's got 7 games to do it. And when asked about his first game at Charlton, he said, "I don't know who Charlton are." So I just hope he knows the way to Crewe and Hull next year. Oh. do you like Hull, then? Thank you.
It's the Limerick of the North.
Oh, actually,
You know how to hurt a city, don't you?
Actually, Peter Taylor's done a fantastic job up there, has to be said.
Don't start trying to get back now. You've really,
He
you
likes-
burnt your bridges.
Oh, I didn't mention cream.
Okay, you're doing okay then. You've had a few points.
Thank you.
I've added in your favour. Bob?
Thank you.
I was, funnily enough, I was amazed. Eyebrows raised about Alain Perrin, the new manager of Portsmouth. He seems to have done well. He seems to.
Is he a Portuguese as well?
I don't know, but I believe he's French because they stick an I in the word Alan and make it Alain. But what did raise I thought, well, okay, Portsmouth want to import a French third division manager. That's fine. They're entitled to do that. But of course, the one that raised my eyebrows is that they brought him over to this country. They need someone, they need a father figure to guide him through his first few weeks in management. And who've they given that job to? David Pleat.
Yeah.
Is there an agency somewhere that you phone up and say, look, we've got someone who's not that good, we want someone even worse to try and help him?
Bleach-like.
Yeah, Pleat. He has sat consistently in high positions in football clubs throughout the land and achieved absolutely nothing. He's like one of these directors you hear of companies that have lost billions being sacked and suddenly they're the chairman of ICI.
Absolutely.
So
It happens in the city. Why shouldn't it happen in
Why
football?
shouldn't it happen in football? And it does, and its name is David Pleat.
What about you, John?
There are a couple which sort of sprang to mind. I thought Alistair Campbell, being the press officer for the British Lions, takes a bit of beating, doesn't it? I was a little bit eyebrows raised about Ian Woosnam and Tom Lehman being the Ryder Cup captains. Woosie gets a couple of beers and Lehman says the wrong thing. It's going to get very tasty. Could be a few interesting moments there. But the ones which I think were just crazy were the rugby union captains. Johnny Wilkinson being made England captain. Why? Why give it Wilkinson? Jason Robinson, why? And they finally got it right with Corrie.
Wise words, John, and not a hint of bias.
Is it me now?
I wish it was, Danny, but unfortunately we have to let you go. No, go on.
I mean, it's already been mentioned twice, but I think it's fair to say that no appointments in recent times have quite matched the goings-on at Portsmouth. Think about it. The extraordinary mishmash they now have. They already had Milan Mandrić, a former Yugoslavian who's now an American citizen who speaks a variety of languages. You've got Executive Director Belimir Zajic, who's a Croat and speaks very good French. You've got Joe Jordan, who's a Scot who speaks Scots and Italian. Now, to add to that, Alan Perrin, a Frenchman with a smattering of English. David Pleat, who speaks a kind of English that hasn't been successfully spoken in this country for about 2.5 centuries, and all of that army of people and that Tower of Babel to replace Jim Smith. I'm sorry, I don't know where. Jim Smith requires 8 people and 44 languages to replace him just to say, I'll open the red, shall I, Harry? No.
Danny Kelly. OK. Well, that was a comprehensive set of answers for a change. Rick Wakeman, moving smoothly now. 13. Unlucky for some. And Danny Kelly, 15, Danny.
Oh, thank you.
Even though you've said those terrible things about Limerick, and when we ever get you there, we will kill you. John Rawling, chasing Bob Mills with 18. And there he is, Bob Mills, still clinging to the wreckage at 20. Well done. So those are the points, and on we go. It's Grand National. I don't know whether you noticed that. Amid the flurry and the journalistic feeding frenzy that's been going on all week, the Grand National. Which horse would you like to have ridden to glory in which race is the question. And there will be bonus points available here for any pathetic attempts to do a Peter Sullivan-style climatic commentary. OK? Bob, we'll start with you.
I have very hard and fast thoughts on horse racing, but have got me into trouble before on this programme when I once said that the use of whips shouldn't be allowed, that what they should actually have is a piece of 2x4 with a nail in the end. Because if you've got money on these beasts, the last thing you want is them easing up as they near the line. So I would have, if I could go back in time, I would go back and I would take the saddle of Dick Francis on Devon Lock. Because if I'd have been riding it, it wouldn't have stopped for a kip, all right, 20 yards from the line. I'd have been up, I'd have been off it, I'd have had the cattle prod on it, and I'd have had it over the line. It might not have would, but it would have been placed, I'll tell you. If I had to drag it by its screaming leather neck over the line, I'd have done it.
Tell me this, tell me no more. What stopped you being a jockey?
I had many happy years as a stable lad.
You wouldn't like to attempt Peter O'Sullivan-style climatic commentary to enable you to surge further ahead, would you?
And as they come to the event, I don't. It's Peter O'Sullivan the Irishman. I get so confused with horse racing.
Go on, get off. OK, John Rawling.
I think you've got to be you wouldn't be a flat jockey. You'd be a national hunt jockey. I think that's sort of the real men's sport. And if you're going for national hunt, the greatest horse by a country mile came from Ireland, and it was Arkle. Won the Cheltenham Gold Cup 3 consecutive years. I think it was 64, 65, 66, wasn't it? And it's the highest rated horse of all time on time form. You know, people talk about Best Mate as being a great horse. It's not fit to be in the same stable as Arkle. Fantastic horse. And, to have ridden that must have been something amazing.
His dam came from Limerick, you know.
Did he?
No.
Pat Taff. He was the
Pat
rider,
Taff.
wasn't he?
Did you know his brother Toss?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. And there's another Taff now, training and riding, isn't there?
Indeed.
Yeah. OK, Danny Kelly.
Well, your comment about jockeys is well made, and I suspect that a horse carrying me, we'd have more chance of winning a race if I carried the horse, to be frank. But I'm a sentimentalist about this. I love I'm not a great horse racing fan like Bob. I love the 1981 Grand National when Aldeniti won with Bob Champion, just because it showed everything that's brilliant about sport, didn't it? The horse had been sick, the man had been sick, the race is an absolute nightmare to get round and win, and the two of them got up and shook themselves off. They weren't favourites and said, "Come, we can do this together." I don't know if the horse spoke to Bob in quite that tone, I don't know. But between them, they thought, we can do this together. And they got up and won the bloody thing. And I don't think there's been a horse racing event to match it ever since.
OK, let's have a set of scores now. Unbelievable. Are you going to do something?
I'd like to have the opportunity to get back down to single figures again, please, if I may.
Well, you can easily do that. Go ahead then, Rick.
I'll make it short and sweet.
No. Please, expand.
Oh, really? Oh, thank you. Back
Well,
to cream again.
be like Bob.
Well, first of all, I have to say that I do disagree with Bob on one thing. I think there is a place for whips, but we've already done the women's boxing thing, so I'll move back onto the horse race and the marriages. The horse I would like to ride. I knew I'd go backwards. I'd like to.
You're not good on women, are you?
Sorry. Oh well,
It's the whips
it is really, yes,
and the cream.
yes.
Sorry, I'm putting you off.
You are indeed. It's just having this vision of you here. Oh my! I must be minus now.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you. I'd like to ride Tropical Saint in the Cheltenham Gold Cup, and the reason I'd like to do that is because back in the 70s I owned Tropical Saint, and so if I was riding him and we won, then I'd get both the jockeys' winnings and also the horse race winnings at the same time.
I had no idea that you were steeped in the lore of the turf.
I had a couple of horses back in the 70s. I had a horse called Ballinlonig and a horse and Tropical Saint, which I bought from the Queen Mum, of all things.
But you actually went round there and bought it?
She was there when I bought it. So
Really?
Yeah, she was actually there.
Did you give her the money? Was it a cash job?
No.
Did you haggle?
No, it was really funny because I had, very, very quick, I had met him many, many years before when I was at the Royal College of Music. And I told everybody, yes, they said, have you met the Queen? I said, oh, yes, I've met her. And anyway, she came walking down the line to meet all of us concerned, and her trainer guy, whatever, said, oh, this is Mr. Wakeman who's bought Tropical Saint. I believe you've met. And she looked at me in that quizzical way, and I relayed the whole story, which was quite a long story, for about 10 minutes. And then she said, I don't remember any of that.
Do you know? I'm quite touched by that.
I heard a
the
different
dear
story.
Queen Mother. Oh, you had a different...
I heard a different story. I
yeah.
heard that when you met the Queen Mother and you were negotiating the horse, she actually said, that Tales from a Topographic Album, that was a load of pretentious old twaddle, wasn't it, Rick?
Yeah, she was. They said that over lunch, you know.
And so it goes on, far into the night, this programme. You've no idea how long it takes. But we have to break here because the public are demanding it. So we'll be back with more after the news. This is Fighting Talk on 5 Live, on AM, on digital, online. Hi there. I'm Terry Wogan. But then, who isn't? Welcome back to Fighting Talk on 5 Live. Still all to play for. God, I could be master of those cliches if I wanted to be, you know. It's a game of two halves, and we're in the second. And the panel today, John Rawling, Rick Wakeman, Bob Mills, and Danny Kelly. Where's the applause? That was mostly for you, Danny.
Thanks, Terry.
For your plucky remarks about Limerick. Let's get going for the second half. Great results for Chelsea, Liverpool and Newcastle this week. Who is your European man of the week? Your closest, Danny?
I'm going to go for Rafa Benitez, the manager of Liverpool. He doesn't have none of the attention that Mourinho gets. He's not well dressed. He has the big old padded jacket. But I thought it was a fantastic result for Liverpool. If you consider they did it without Dudek, Kirkland, Pellegrino, Xavi Alonso, Morientes, Cisse. I think Benitez is going to a slow burn in this country compared to Mourinho. I think we start off going, who is this fella? But I think he's got beneath all that bon on me and the big puffer jacket, he's got a spine of steel, the fella. And Liverpool are going to do better and better with him.
How good to hear all those native Liverpool names.
Yeah, local lads. Scousers, one and all.
John Rawling.
I'd go for Liverpool as well. I'm talking about Scott Carson, the young kid who was in goal. And I thought that, OK, he made a mistake and he basically let a goal in. But before then, he was absolutely extraordinary. I thought the save he pulled off against Del Piero was just magnificent. Absolutely wonderful. 19-year-old kid in a real pressure situation. And I hope very much that mistake doesn't really get to him, because I thought that looked like an outstanding goalkeeper and he was terrific.
Well done, John. Bob Mills.
Well, I'm an Orient fan, so I never liked him at West Ham, and I don't like Chelsea because they bought their way to success. But I have to say, Frank Lampard was absolutely stunning this week. I thought he took that final step from being, a very, very good, very talented man to being a world-class footballer on a big stage. And I just think it's good for England that someone like that is suddenly we can eventually elbow Beckham out and we can have a new leader in midfield. And I think Lampard showed himself to be the man.
Was that the anti-Beckham tendency?
Yes,
I saw raise its ugly
creeping
head
in
there. Come on. Rick.
I'm going for the sympathy vote, and I'll explain why, Terry, because I'm in the process of moving and my television hasn't arrived yet, so I haven't seen any football for 3 weeks. So I'm afraid that that's a sympathy vote I'm after. I've been to Limerick.
You can find no sympathy. Oh, all right then.
Thank you. And so my vote for European Man of the Week goes to Marino, because he didn't go to the game and nor did I.
I'll give you 2 for that. OK, there's the points. Rick Wakeman still lagging behind, but moving now with some purpose. 21. Danny Kelly, 23. Not so good, Danny.
No.
What's happening to you this week?
I think it's you, to be honest. But
And you're speaking on behalf of the listener there. Bob Mills, 25. Bob, guess who's leapt into the lead, stormed into first place. I don't know how he did it. Anybody notice him come up on the rails? John Rawling, 27. That's the state. Wow. That's the state of the parties. And we're on. Squeezed in between European football, the Premiership, the Augusta Masters. And what about the Masters? What about the way they're dressing? Do you ever see anything like Clark as Rupert Bear? What's that? What's that? And Poulter. He's like a hussar.
you're not improving in this, are you, at all?
No, it's not quite what we're used to. And I know Alice will take a porky view.
There's a little Japanese, I'm not a big golf aficionado, there's a little Japanese fellow, for bless his heart, in a Stetson.
That's right.
I thought it was lovely.
He's trying to get in the locals, isn't he?
Yes, today I'm going to wear the 10-gallon hat.
Yeah. And the amazing thing, he didn't even have any spurs on, did he? No. OK, well, that's Augusta Masters, the Grand National, the Royal Wedding. And in between all that, the English cricket season opened yesterday. What does cricket have to do to get itself noticed? John Rawling.
I think it is. I think it is noticed. The county game maybe isn't as big as it might be, to put it mildly, but I think 2020 cricket has been a phenomenal success, and there's no question in my mind that the biggest sporting event of this summer is going to be the Ashes. It's going to be England against Australia, and it will be magnificent. And we've got a genuine chance of doing something this time. I don't think it's automatically taken as read that we're going to be hammered by the Aussies. I think we've got a great chance. But one thing I would say about cricket, I think it's a crying shame that it's going off terrestrial television. I think that is a real shame.
That's for terrestrial. Yeah. I think whenever you have a winning team, isn't it? It's like the rugby and the cricket. England have a chance. So that it's going to create an enormous amount of enthusiasm.
And that's great. What John's point is that's great now, but in 2 years' time, you won't be able to see them unless you have the Sky Television. Oh, my God. This is easier than I thought, this game.
Yeah, but I've never liked Rupert Murdoch. Bob Mills.
Well, I didn't come here for a lecture on communism, I have to say. I think anyone who's wealthy enough to like cricket is wealthy enough to have Sky Television. And I don't know, it's cricket. I thought it was a sports programme, but apparently we are doing pastimes as well. So if we're doing cricket, what does cricket need to make it more successful? Well, a roof, for starters. Cricket is a game that needs to be played in a lovely hot country. So what they need to do, and I mean Glamorgan and Worcestershire and Warwickshire and Yorkshire, move to Spain. Take the whole thing, lock, stock and barrel, to a nice sunny country where it's suited, and then people can watch it on Sky. You don't need to leave the comfort of your own armchair. And I think it'd be a lovely little sport that everyone can enjoy.
But it'll never
fighting over here.
Yeah.
Well,
Now,
far be it from me to tell Mr. Murdoch what his schedules should be, but I mean, bullfighting's a very interesting sport. Unless you're a bull, obviously.
Couldn't make up my mind on that. Rick Wakeman.
Well, I think it could get back on terrestrial TV, and that's what it needs. But what it needs is livening up a bit of PR, and I think we should get Kieran Dyer and Boyer to play for Yorkshire. Then get Abramovich to buy Middlesex and appoint John Prescott as head groundsman, as he consistently bats on a sticky wicket. Get rid of helmets and suits of armour and all the boxes they wear, and then make the stumps, or indeed the batsman when the ball hits him, just basically to explode, which will give it a bit more colour. And just to liven things up for evening games, all batsmen must have a Vindaloo curry before going into bat. And I think we get on the TV.
I thought you had a nap hand there.
Thank you, sir.
Rick Wakeman, I'll be amazed if you haven't charged up the charts.
Gosh.
OK. Danny?
I don't think cricket should do absolutely nothing to improve its public image. It's perfectly fine the way it is. I did start thinking about how you could flash it up, and you end up playing North and South. Coronation Street 11 versus EastEnders on the opening day of the season. Played on the lawn owned by Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles, with Jordan and Jodie Marsh opening the bowling. But the game would be dead in 5 minutes. I actually like the fact that at the county season it opens and it's really boring. They used to open it with the county champions against Cambridge or Oxford University. Half-fit pros bored out their minds against half-drunk, hopeless students. It was fantastic, and we should go back to that. County cricket is not supposed to be flash, it's not supposed to be popular, it's not supposed to be even interesting. It's just there to show that the country carries on. 2020 and Tests, as John has said, they make sure the game thrives. What we don't need is sexy Disney reality cricket. Avoid that.
Well, you're leaning against an open door there with most of us, but not me. I think we do need
To liven the cricket up,
cheerleaders,
yeah?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
and as many flashes of the odd knicker as one can see. That would bring the crowds in, wouldn't it? Charging the turnstiles. Rick Wakeman, you see, I told you it was going to be all right. And that money that you've given me is not ill spent. 26 points to Rick. He's last. But maybe not for long, the way he's moving now, smoothly. He's into his stride. Danny Kelly, 28. Bob Mills, who flattered at first and is now slipping back, 30. And John Rawling in the lead, 32. Why are we so prejudiced for John Rawling? What is it? Do you know somebody in the production team? Now, among the top sporting events this weekend, over 20... I find this hard to believe, I have to tell you. Over 20,000 people will be at the National Ice Centre in Nottingham to watch the British Ice Hockey Playoff Finals. Now, excuse me. What are the other hidden gems of British sport? Danny, we'll start with you.
There is a hidden gem of sport in these islands, but I'm not sure how British it is. Hurling is a fantastic sport. Anybody who's ever... I'm not just doing to get in with you now because I'm going to ruin this at the end. Anybody who's ever seen hurling, it's an amazing sport. The power and the speed of it. I mean, I'm told that when the ball leaves the hurl, or the slitter, as I have to learn to call it, it's at the higher speed than anything else except an ice hockey puck. These are blokes who don't wear padding, who are allowed to play this high-speed, high-power game in front of huge crowds going nuts and belt each other with large sticks. And I think it's one of the great games in the British Islands.
Yeah.
And it'd be brilliant if we could play in this country. And I suppose you'd agree with me, except for the fact that every year Limerick get mullered by Cork, yeah?
There's no need for that.
I'm just saying there's a fact,
There's
though,
no
isn't
need.
it?
I myself played hurling in Limerick.
It's a brilliant game,
And
isn't
those
it?
were the days when they used to bind the hurl, as they
the
call
hurl,
it,
yeah.
with bands of steel and nails. Knock the nails in. People used to come off the pitch
In
with
bits.
contusions, blood pouring from every part of them.
It hasn't changed much, though, Terry, to be fair to the game. It's still a fairly robust man's game, isn't it?
The parish priest would say a few prayers over them and then send them back onto the field. That's the way. John Rawling.
I think the hidden gem of sport, which really gets precious little publicity in this country and has a great following and is extremely exciting, is motorcycle racing. I think, Susie Perry. I mean, come on. Good sort of
Susie.
representative of the broadcasting art. No, I think motorcycling is.
Excuse me, that is completely sexist and deserves...
Well, fair enough, but it is fighting talk. I'm just fighting talk. No, I think it's terrific. It's a damn sight more exciting than Formula One, which gets enormous amounts of publicity, enormous amounts of money, and is, let's face it, a crashing bore. And I think that motorcycling is altogether different league.
You're losing ground with me here. Because I think it's like motor racing. It's all the same. It's... And the best bike wins. Not necessarily the best rider or the best driver.
Not sure I agree with that.
Look, who's running this show? Bob Mills.
I agree with whatever it was you just said, sir. I just want to go on record for now.
You sound like a
until the
winner
end
to
of the
me.
show. There's a funny thing. If you go to certain parts of Essex and Kent and Surrey, you're completely unawares, if you happen to be wandering through a field or a sports ground, you will come across at any weekend a kabaddi tournament. Kabaddi is played in this country, and it's played long, hard, and often. It's a sport, I think, that originated from the Kashmir. And basically, we haven't got time to go into the rules, other than to say it's played by guys in shorts and vests. Unfortunately, one would say in these enlightened PC times, women aren't allowed. It's a male-only sport. It's all I can describe it is the Asian version of British Bulldogs 1, 2, 3.
Well, I don't know. I saw once on the telly lacrosse. And I'd never seen lacrosse before, and they had this sort of stick with a bit of a net on, but it was played by women, and I think it's obviously a women's game. And
It's a Red Indians game.
It's what? Sorry,
Red Indians game.
Red Indians.
is it really?
Yeah.
But sorry, Native Americans game.
Oh, okay. Well, these
Just about got out of that one.
well, these women were wearing short skirts. Did the Native Americans wear short skirts? I thought it was really very, very good, and I think it was a very fast game, and I thought it should be shown a lot more. And the other thing that I was...
Sorry, we were a bit lost there.
Yeah, I was a bit lost myself.
You gave us pictures of Red Indians in thongs.
Yeah, that's right. And I believe somewhere up in Cumbria they still have the one-legged arse-kicking competition, but that's never really caught on. And the only other thing I'd like to ask is, what the hell happened to the wonderful pub sport of bar billiards? Where has the bar billiards tables gone?
Yeah. It all went out with Freddie Truman, unfortunately, an indoor league.
Alcide.
Alcide.
Right.
Well, that was another fruitless round. Danny Kelly, you're not lagging behind, Dan. What are you doing, man? Pull yourself together. 28. It's all that talk about hurling. A game you know nothing about, obviously.
I know plenty about
You
hurling.
give the slither a puck with the hurdle. That's what you do. Moving up, Rick Wakeman on 30.
Good grief.
John Rawling,
Yep.
32. I knew you'd go backwards with the old motorcycling. And Bob Mills, back in the lead, surging forward again at 36. Now, I've got some homework examples here. And listen to John Watson. This is from Bob in Carshalton. John Watson might liken himself to a wolf in sheepskin clothing, but a wolf in sheepskin clothing that laughs like a hyena at his own jokes. I don't think we can disassociate ourselves from that remark, can we? And Susan of Bexley Heath. I'm sure Sven-Göran Eriksson could mystically explain some of his behaviour with the line, "Why should a man eat past its sell-by-date cheese at home when there is runny brie on the cheese board at every restaurant in town?" David of Belfast. That one was deep. Perhaps Van Nistelrooy might claim to be like an aged butterfly collector. He still likes turning out, but he never gets anything in the net. Now that's harsh. Harsh indeed. And and anti-Dutch. Here's the numbers again. Let me just give you the text.
85058.
Yeah, that's for your homework examples. And the email.
fighting@bbc.co.uk.
Do you know all those are made in America? Those jingles. Money well spent, I think you'll agree. It's another quickie, panel. It's all about this. Listen.
47 attempts to win a major. Is this the one? Mickelson sends the putt on its way. It drops into the hole, and Phil Mickelson, at long, long last, is a major champion.
I can't bear the way he smiles all the time. Mickelson. There's something wrong about him. I agree with Tiger Woods. There's something wrong about Mickelson.
Has Tiger Woods actually said that?
No. In tribute to the Masters in Augusta, we want some creative thinking from you, the panel. Describe a sportsman. Now, this isn't easy. Describe a sportsman as a golf club. Bob Mills.
Wow. Describe sports. I wonder at what point in any of our careers we thought one day we might wind up with Terry Wogan asking us to describe a sportsman as a golf club. Well, here we go, here on Fighting Talk, which is best described as an hour in your life that you ain't getting back. Describe a sportsman. Right, OK.
No, OK, go on.
I'll keep the Newcastle midfielder theme going, and I'll stick with Lee Bowyer. As one of those a titanium 5-iron. It's hard, it's not very bright, and you don't want it whacking you around the back of the head.
Good man, Bob. Rick Wakeman.
Well, I've gone sort of down the golfing memorabilia as against the actual golfing club. I've got Graham Taylor as TaylorMade golf, and then Marino out of bounds. Then I've got Paul Gascoigne ball holder. And Vinnie Jones, ball retriever. Think about it.
It works for me.
Thank you.
John Rawling.
I've got Jermaine Pennant as a driver. Venus Williams. Venus Williams, Great Big Bertha. Jeff Capes would be a putter. Roman Abramovich is a wedge. And, of course, Sheikh Maktoum is a sand wedge.
Rawling, you've been thinking about this for some time, haven't you?
I have.
Gifted. Young, gifted, and greying. Danny?
I think we talked about them earlier on. The amazing new bunch of people who are coaching at Portsmouth are a mashy niblick. There's a lot of words that I don't understand and a function I don't begin to comprehend. That's it.
Apparently they did offer Mashi Niblick the job, but he's at Honved and very happy
he doesn't
there.
speak the right language, the right number of languages, does he?
I'm quite surprised that none of you picked the rotting iron for anybody.
Not many golfers are the
Yeah.
same, I suspect here.
We don't know what that means, sir. That's the rotting iron.
Yes, it's not what you think. It's actually because they used
That's
to be
Teddy
rot.
Sheringham in my mind, yeah.
They used to, there's no need to be fussed. The ruts used to run across fairways because carts used to go across them, and if the ball went in there was a special club called a rutting iron.
Lovely.
I only know this because Peter Hours told me, but then he's been lying to me for years.
Maybe if I'd had one, I'd done better in your golf tournament a few years ago.
Yes, but I doubt it.
Oh, OK.
You would have been better off with the rib-faced Mashy Niblick. Right, it's a one-name answer. There's been enough talk about bad eggs in football this week, so tell us about a good one. Let's have a good egg. Danny, just a name.
Thierry Henry.
What in heaven's name? Why Thierry Henry? Because he's French?
No, because he's an absolute... I mean, this hurts me to the heart to say because he plays for Arsenal. He's an absolutely wonderful player who never gets involved in all the rubbish that other players do. He never gets involved in fighting, roasting, dogging, whatever it is, this thing that they do in this week. He's never involved.
But he pouts.
He's a flat track bully as well. He doesn't do it in matches.
The French
which really
never get
count.
involved with anything.
John, I'm not sure that received opinion about him is exactly true, is it? Because he's got 30-odd goals this season, twice as much as anybody else. He must have got some of them against good teams, surely.
The Graham Hick of football.
OK, now look, that was supposed to be a one-name answer, you know.
Well,
You
all
went
right.
on for about 20 minutes there, Danny.
After your very kind invitation to speak more about my very
There's
correct
no
answer.
need to turn it back on me. You're like a wounded snake. And now, John Rawling,
Sir Bobby Robson.
what about him?
He's the good egg. That's the question.
Oh, all right then, yeah. OK.
It smells of urine. We already know this.
No! Bob Mills.
I said he smelt vaguely of urine. That's
The same thing, really.
Gerard Houllier.
Yeah, exactly.
Gerald Houllier.
Yes, because whenever you see on the television a Liverpool football match, he's always there. Well, he's not the manager anymore.
They haven't told him, Bob.
No,
have they?
he keeps turning up on the off chance.
Rick Wakeman.
I'm going for Stuart Pearce because in his first 2 games he's not made one excuse, he's not had a pop at any of the referees, any of the players. He's just said it exactly as it is. And I hope he continues in the same vein. It's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. And he's a big fella, and you never want to cross him.
That's the other reason.
Psycho. OK, no scores this time. We're going to go straight. We're going to keep you, as it were, on the edge of your seats. Is there anybody out there? It's the final topic. It's where it can all change. It can change, and not necessarily for the better. It's the any other business round. This is the round where you tell us what got your goat this week. OK, this has to be short and to the point. Rick Wakeman.
Okay,
got your goat.
What gets my goat is the royal wedding, which I believe is a complete sham. Everybody knows that Tony Blair does not like Gordon Brown.
Good point, well made. Bob Mills.
Again, the royal wedding, as a Republican, I think it's disgusting that the Sun should have driven a van into Windsor Castle and not actually taken the trouble to put a bomb inside it.
Double points there. John Rawling.
At risk of sounding a little bit like Bobby Gould a week or two ago, I got nicked by a speed camera this week, and I tell you what, whoever gets rid of those cameras, if a political party, said we are going to get rid of speed cameras, they would get my vote. I'd vote Monster Raving Looney to get rid of those.
Danny.
I think this week the Queen's been a spoil sport. We see Blair leaving 10 Downing Street to go and dissolve Parliament, and we see him coming back, and it's all very... We want to see the 5 minutes when they go into the room, and he says he has to kneel down in front and say, I want to dissolve Parliament. And I want her, instead of saying yes, like the Kings and Queens have done for the past 300 years, I want to say, what day do you want to do it? A Thursday? No, I'm shampooing the corgis on a Thursday. No, election? What do you want an election for? Just carry on like I do. I want to see the Queen teasing the Prime Minister about the prospect of having a general election. Tuesdays is good. Do it Tuesday.
You live on a world of your own, don't you?
Thankfully for many others, yeah.
Well, now, chaps, we come to the final scores. I must say, the 4 hours have gone like lightning. Danny Kelly, I'm sorry.
Bring back O'Connor, that's my policy.
I'm sorry for lots of things, but 38 points.
It's a good total, I'm proud.
Yeah. But then Rick Wakeman, 40.
That's 39 more than the last time.
Yeah. See, I bring out the best in you.
You have.
Yeah. That's because I'm wearing the sunglasses because of the pullover. The 2 finalists... Well, there's only 2 of you left, so you must know who they are. John Rawling, 42 points. Mm-hmm. Bob Mills, 44. There are 2 finalists. Isn't it exciting, everybody? Yeah. Now, we're going to defend the indefensible. The point in the show where they get to defend something appalling, and they're unpalatable propositions. But they must be argued with conviction and gusto, and you must fill a full 20 seconds, OK? And we have a time limit ticking away while you do this. So the first question is for, I think we'll go to you, John. John Rawling. Here we go, 20 seconds on women shouldn't worry their pretty little heads about things like riding Grand National winners.
Women shouldn't worry about sport. Women should just stay in the home, cooking and doing general womanly things. The National, as Ginger McCain said, is for hard men, tough men, people who are prepared to ride for 4.5 miles and physically drag that horse up the hill, past the elbow, across the line, and somehow get it home. It's not woman's work.
You went over the time there. I'm terribly sorry. But it was passable. I'm sure that Bob can do even worse. Bob, common people shouldn't be allowed to watch the Masters on TV. Now, this could have been written by me. It will only give them ideas above their station and tempt them to actually come out on a golf course and play.
Quite right. There are some sports in this land, and I would say that cricket and golf are the two main ones that aren't for the oiks. Okay, if you're above a certain income, fine, you can play golf, but otherwise, stick to rugby league, stick to Sunday football, stick to wrestling. That's good. You can go along to the Octagon in Bolton and watch that, or snooker, but don't try and bring your dirty, smelly habits to our golf courses.
Well, it's my call this time.
Very good. Very
and
good.
it's going to be up to me, and I'm bound to say, throughout your diatribe there, Bob, you were leaning against an open door with me. Most of my friends wouldn't even allow women on a golf course at all. So, Bob Mills, I declare the winner this week. The winner of Fighting Talk. Well done, John. And our thanks to everybody who took part, whoever you are. Rick Wakeman, dear old Bob, John Rawling, and Danny Kelly. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you at home enjoyed it as much as I have. It's been a treat for me to do this. There's no chance I could do it next week, is there? No, I didn't think so. Thank you for joining us. Fighting Talk next week. Till then, bye-bye.